On this episode of Montsweag Garage, I get to learn to use this thing. So today, this idiot learns how to weld. And neighbor Mike's here. He's a man of many talents. He's got his own woodworking business. But the thing that's going to help most today is he's a welding instructor at the local shipyard. And he's going to teach me how to weld. This is going to be pretty. Can you say Ray Charles welding with his feet? Oh yeah.
So what we're working with today is an Eastwood MP140. It's multi-purpose, does MIG, does TIG, does stick welding, and it was on loan to me from a buddy. Thanks, Jamie. I appreciate it. And turns out I have something that Jamie wants and is willing to trade for. So Jamie and I are going to trade. This beautiful thing is going to be mine, and the thing that he wants is going to be his. Score.
And for those of you that are wondering about safety, I am wearing fire retardant coveralls, and a welding hood on, had gloves on, and we have a fire extinguisher standing by just in case. Not that I think I would burn the house down, but first thing I gotta do is clean that plate off. So we're gonna take the grinder to it, get it down to nice, clean bare metal.
Yep, that'll work. Get it dialed in so you can run a bead, you'll be alright.
What do you think, auto darkening or just standard?
I'd use the auto darkening.
Since we're running the welder off a generator, I turned down the audio to minimize your irritation levels. Mike is explaining how far away I need to hold the torch as I prepare to run my first bead. My first try failed to start an arc because the ground cable was on a section of plate that I hadn't cleaned yet. Mike went ahead and corrected the problem, and at long last, I'm a welder. Just not a good one. After seeing my first run, Mike makes some adjustments to the wire speed. Meanwhile, I'm standing there blowing on the weld like it's gonna cool it off. What an idiot. With the adjustments made, it's time for a second pass. Mike is telling me I need to hold the torch more upright, but I'm not quite smelling what the rock is cooking. I managed to run a longer bead this time, but since I'm not quite soaking up the knowledge, it kinda, well, it really sucked. Just to be sure the problem is indeed with the moron holding the torch and not the welding equipment, Mike steps in and runs a bead. Yep, it's official. It's the boneheaded student. Next, Mike explains how to move the torch in a circular pattern to join two parts together. He then demonstrates using the edge of his previous bead as the joint, as I stand there unable to see what's going on because my face is too far away from the arc. Brilliant. Now it's my turn. As I run this bead, I'm focused on keeping the torch in the correct position and distance while making the circular pattern. It is not as easy as it sounds. But once we get done, I get the teacher's seal of approval. Yay! Alas, that was just for the circular pattern. I'm still tilting the torch too much, which is causing the wire to run out more than it should. I am also still too far from the surface. My welds are not flattening out. Part of this is because once the visor goes dark, I can see the puddle, but not the torch tip. I'm gonna have to practice on doing it more by feel. This time, I had the right distance and torch angle, and I instantly noticed the weld was much, much hotter. At the end, I could even feel it through my glove, and I had a blow through at the very tail end of my bead. It looked much better until the end there, but it was a step in the right direction. One last bead, from the other side this time, for a bit more support and stability. This one went well, but I am once again too far from the surface. Guess I'm just gonna have to practice. Oh darn.
Yeah. So you don't want to run that much stick out as far as, and you got that much stick out because you were so far away.
I got you.
Keep it within a dime, half, 3/4 of an inch. The closer you have it, the more heat you're gonna get out of it, and it's gonna weld and
See, that's a.
and it's hard.
So I can see the puddle, but what I can't see is I can't see the end of the torch.
Yeah, and that's probably the way you were holding it with your hand. Oh. You're trying to do this too much.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll see it. You'll get that figured out. Not very far away.
Hey, that's true.
Especially if you get into a spot where you don't think you can get it right. You can throw a mirror up. Weld it in the mirror. Well, don't laugh.
I can't imagine doing that.
Yeah, tape a mirror up on the bed of the frame. But no, big difference from the first one.
Yeah. Yeah. Matter of fact, I'm going to talk to the camera about it.
So, here's the progression. This is weld number 1. As expected, not great. This is weld number 2. A little bit better, but still, could definitely use some work. This one here is Mike's first bead, checking to make sure that everything was set up right. And this one is his second one, showing me how to use that circular pattern to join two pieces together. This is my attempt at the circular pattern. Not straight, but better. This is the run where I had the distance right. The bead flattened out better, but I lost the circular pattern and it was moving too slowly and ended up with a blow through here at the end. My next bead started at the right distance, but ended too far away. My last weld was the best, but still too far away. I got good penetration though, and Mike thinks it'll be fine for what I need to do.
Now that I've got a few beads under my belt, it's time to go ahead and get our patterns made up and get our patches for the driver's side frame rail cut out so we can get those put in. And here comes Mike again. So, Mike just came back over and brought me two big old things of 1/8-inch steel. We'll have to strip it down to bare metal, but hell yes, that is going to be great for getting this frame patched up. Thank you, Mike, for the lesson and the metal. So it's about a week later, and after running some more practice beads, it's time to put what we've learned to the test. As I pointed out in a previous video, we've got a spot in the driver's side frame rail that needs to be fixed. Let's see how badly we can screw this up. So this is our spot. If we take a look, there's a good bit of frame rot right in here. Don't mind the wire, that's just holding up the exhaust because, yeah, I'm actually sitting in my engine compartment right now. The engine's out. He's sitting over there. That's an entirely different video, which will be coming soon-ish, as soon as I get everything back together and get her test driven. But it's mostly done. Taking a look here, as you can see, that frame rail's pretty rotted out on the bottom, and it's getting there on this side. We want to shore that up. To do that, we're going to have to start with a template. And since our passenger side actually looks really good, we're going to use the passenger side for our template. Now I'm going to go ahead and trim up the pieces of cardboard that I think I need to be able to make a template for the metal patches to cut out. The cool thing about this is I can actually take the cardboard and trim that up to fit exactly before
I cut the metal is it's a whole lot easier to trim cardboard than it is metal. This piece is what I plan on using for the bottom of the frame rail. And it's the piece that'll kind of wrap around. And then this one is going to be used for the side. This is way bigger than I need, but it'll help me trim it out right and get the patch put in properly, hopefully. There's a curve that I'm pretty sure I'm going to have issues with, but we'll figure it out. I've never done this before. After much fitting and cutting and fitting and cutting and fitting and cutting and fitting and cutting, and it's hot, I have my pieces. This piece for the bottom and the piece for the side. This curve right here was not easy, but hey, it worked. Now we are at a point where we can trace this pattern to metal and then cut it out.
Already making use of those nice panels that Mike gave us. Let's go ahead and line this up. Make our mark here. Make our mark here. Let's just trace it. Alright, piece number 1. This will be fun. How to best do this to conserve metal. It's curved, so let's try this way. All right, patch panels are traced. Now, time for the cutting. One's cooled down. We're gonna go ahead and swap heads to the grinding head and clean up these edges, and we can go see how well they fit. So, after some trimming and some bending, they fit pretty good. And there's a little bit of gap there, but the weld should fill that easy. That and a little hammering. We'll see. So we've got our first plate held in place. There's a little bit of gap here on this end, but we'll push that down before we actually tack it. Here we go. Don't mess it up. Looks bad. And I realized why. I forgot to turn the shielding gas on. Don't judge me. It's bad. It's really bad. We gonna take a grinder to most of it. Well, what we can get to. Make it look a little prettier, but hey, it's my first time, and that was a really awkward position. All right, so now that we got the two big pieces in, there's a pretty considerable gap in there that needs to be filled. So there's a little line right here. Oh, let's back up so it focuses. A little line right here. We're going to snip it off, and then we're going to flip it over, and then there's another cutting line. It'll give me a piece that'll fit right in that gap. So while we were cutting, we need to get some better grippy grippies, because she got a little warm. All right, so we're going to put our engineer brain to work. We're going to use a heat sink. I'm going to put this to the bench with the rubber grippies, and then we're going to use vice grips to connect the little piece we're cutting to this. This is a little bit of piece I need. Clean. Now let's go see if it fits. That's pretty good. A little bit of an overhang right down here in the bottom, but that's stuff that a grinder won't fix. And I have the perfect thing to hold that right where it needs to go. Look at that. Nice little magnet. It'll let me run a bead. I'll tack it in. I'll grind this little bottom lip off, and then we'll run a bead up and up the side. All right, time for the noise again. That's beautiful!
I'm gonna show you this. Like I said, don't judge me. It ain't pretty, but it's done. There we are. Got a little bit of a blow through there. That one wasn't bad, but I also had a really good angle at that. It was easier to get at. Now that top bead there, especially the very first portion of it to about there, looks great. It actually looks like I know what I'm doing. I don't. That's the weld. I forgot to turn my shielding gas off. And I don't think the metal was as clean as it could have been either. So, yeah, like I said, don't judge me. First time. Those look nice. One of the things that I've been trying to do is make episodes that are a little more beginning to end, instead of like the carb was a part 1, a part 2, a part 3. Unfortunately, it's taken me a lot longer because I don't get a ton of time. I usually get 1 day a weekend, maybe 2 if I'm lucky, to be able to shoot videos. Hopefully you guys don't mind the longer wait in between videos, so long as I can bring a better video, which is what I'm trying to do. Let me know down in the comments what you think. Do you like the shorter form where it's just, hey, this is what I did today? Or would you prefer a video like this one that kind of covers a process from beginning to end? Thanks for joining me, and I hope my welding was not too offensive. You have a fantastic day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye! Don't judge me!